Duchesne Falls, just outside of North Bay, is a series of cascades that are fed by the Duchesne Creek that carves through the Canadian Shield. Most people that visit this beautiful spot only walk up to the impressive falls that lay close to the parking lot to take a quick selfie. But there is actually a very well maintained trail system that brings you further upstream where there are less people and you can enjoy this marvelous spot even more, especially with the leaves turning into the fall colors. After leaving the campground this morning, we found some Amish people with their carriages on their way for Sunday morning service in the pouring rain. The Marchant Covered Bridge was built in 1898 and spans the Collonges River in Mansfield at Pontefract. At the time, it served as a link between the lumber camps and the village of Fort Collonges. The bridge is supported by 5 wooden pillars filled with stones and supplied with icebreakers. The covered bridge spans a distance of 153 meters and is entirely built out of pine and is the biggest covered bridge in the province. At night, the bridge is lighted by LED lights that can be controlled by an app for everyone to download. When we entered Quebec, Google Maps started to play tricks with us. We thought to have an easy driving day today, only 156 kilometers. It turned into a 3.5-hour road trip. Ruby's work as a web designer is mostly globally, so she doesn't meet many of her customers in person. When we planned this trip, we knew we would be traveling through Quebec, where some of Ruby's customers are, so we went out to visit a few of them. Theatre Wakefield is an arts and cultural center that presents a variety of programs for all ages, from workshops to heritage projects and much more. They also produce main stage performances and festivals. In and outside the building, you can admire many structures and artworks that are made by local artists. One of the volunteers gave us a tour through the theater, and after that we were invited for coffee. We went to a local cafe and met with another volunteer and had a great time. Thank you for everything. Next stop was La Fab sur Mille in Chelsea. This artist-owned co-op and arts hub is housed in a 150-year-old beautifully restored church building. The church sanctuary transformed in a professional multi-purpose space with its own stage. Artists can expose their work, music performances can take place, and so much more. On the lower level you find multiple studio spaces where resident artists work and show and sell their work in the boutique. In other parts of the church, people can follow arts and music lessons, and even for kids they organize multiple summer camps. For Ruby, it was very nice to see and speak to the people in person, which you only know from Zoom calls and email. We felt very welcome.
I'm looking for inspiration.
Le Chateau Montebello was recommended by a very lovely elderly local couple that called it the biggest log cabin in Canada. This majestic 95-year-old building is known for its rustic charm and elegance. This 211-room grand hotel was built for the Canadian Pacific Railway Company by 3,500 laborers in 4 months. The first thing we noticed was the enormous fireplace. Originally, it was a private retreat, seigneurie club, and only open for elite members like presidents of the Canadian Bank, CP Railway, and so on. In 1970, it was opened for the public. Many famous people stayed in the hotel, even our previous Queen of the Netherlands. On the grounds you can find many activities, such as hiking, canoeing, horse riding, mini golf, and they even have their own Land Rover experience course. We just explored the grounds and took in the beautiful scenery. Driving into downtown Montreal with a truck camper our size is already something. But then parking, it's a real adventure. We finally found a spot in Old Town Montreal close to the Notre Dame Basilica. Old Montreal really reminds us of Paris, where we used to come often when we were still living in the Netherlands. The small cobblestone streets with patios where you can enjoy your food or drinks. The little shops and of course the architecture. No big box stores here. We picked up a freshly made smoothie and went for a stroll. We had a laugh about one of the street artists that was showing off his cat. You paid him an amount and could take a picture of his cat. We were very surprised of the vast amount of people who actually did that. We visioned a new future for our cats at home. On another corner, there was a one-man band walking away. We had a great afternoon, but the day wasn't over yet. Some people know that I am a great motorsport fan, but my favorite is Formula 1. I have been following this high-speed racing sport since the late 1980s, and yes, I am that old. In 2016 we were in Montreal at the Circuit d'Île de Villeneuve to watch the Grand Prix. 1 week a year, the Ile Notre Dame gets transformed into a racetrack. The rest of the year, this island is a park where you walk, bike and take your car on the official Formula 1 track. So we didn't hesitate, took the truck to the circuit and drove the same track that these over 1,000 horsepower race cars do, with speeds over 350 km an hour. Our truck doesn't go that fast, and there was a speed limit on the track. But to actually drive there gave us goosebumps. This circuit is built up at high-speed straights, tight turns and big braking zones. But one of the biggest things on this street circuit are the concrete walls that are next to the track. Every mistake you make will end up in tears.
Amazing. I can't understand, like, coming up that straight which we just drove, it's like two truck widths, or maybe three, at 350 kilometers an hour and passing each other, even in the rain, when you can see nothing. It's just so much respect for these drivers. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then Wall of Champions. Right there. The truck is parked next to the Wall of Champions.
After racing the circuit with the truck, we had to fuel ourselves for our next race. We were training for a 10-kilometer run race in Nova Scotia. So we got changed and run the 4.4-kilometer long track. While we were running the track, we gained even more respect for the drivers when you actually notice how narrow the track is between the walls. It was time to leave Montreal and continue our travel east. When we arrived at the Sunset View campground in Hawkshaw, New Brunswick, we felt welcome from the start. We had called in ahead to see if there was availability, and when we arrived, we were welcomed by the owners with cookies and a big smile. After being checked in, we were guided to our campsite. This exceptional campsite is well maintained, with roomy spots with all the connections you need. Our spots and many others had beautiful view of the St. John River. When we walked around, we found a well-maintained flower garden, a heated swimming pool, and even electric car chargers. The toilets and showers were roomy and clean. The amount of detail that was spent on this campground really makes a difference. This hidden gem has to be on everyone's list who is visiting the East Coast. Jimmy and Chris really go the extra mile for their guests.